All right. Peace and greetings, YouTubers. So, the 2021 Soul Train Awards. Let's just jump right into it. Now, if you follow me, you know that this is one of my favorite award shows to follow, mainly because I think the Soul Train Awards does a great job of, one, getting singers that can actually perform really well as far as like there being good vocals. And I also always appreciate the musicality. There's always a really good band and there's a brass section, and I really love the fact that when it comes to different entertainers from various generations, you tend to have a lot of different groups represented. So you have the current acts, you have a lot of acts that are up and coming that may not necessarily be well known yet that they give the stage to, and you also have the seasoned veterans that get celebrated as well and are also seen as viable performers and not just, you know, kind of like a luxury act that you highlight and celebrate and then push back to the basement afterwards. Like, everybody is kind of included. So I've always appreciated that about the Soul Train Awards. This year was a little light, to be honest, but you know, I think with the circumstances of just everything happening in the world, it makes sense. It's just one of those things that's going to come with the territory until things start to normalize over time. By the way, I hope you all have thrown out those leftovers at this point. Listen, if you didn't freeze them after day number 2, throw that stuff out. Don't be trying to have your whole family sick because you holding on to the turkey legs from 4 days ago trying to cut them into a sandwich. Let that stuff go. All right. So Silk Sonic opened the show and they also closed the show. They weren't there in person, but you know, we're in this era where a lot of artists can pretty much just submit the visual performances and go from there. I thought both performances were pretty decent. My godmother is obsessed with Smoking Out the Window. She loves that song. But, you know, I thought it was cool for what it was. I think with them also kind of fitting in with the theme, the imaging they have for their album and for their project already kind of fits for this year's theme because, you know, it was like the 50th anniversary of the Soul Train, and on top of the fact that they were doing it at the Apollo, so everything kind of just aligned already. So, you know, kudos to them, I guess. What was interesting, it didn't seem like the promo was really big for the Soul Train Awards this year. For this to have been like the 50th anniversary, I thought they were going to, you know, go all out and go big and all kind of commercials and stuff, but it seemed a little more scaled back. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I also don't watch as much TV, so maybe I just missed it. But, oh well. Tashina Arnold and Tisha Campbell hosted. I always appreciate their friendship because I think they flourish together on screen. And, you know, they've been in this for years, and they've been friends since they were teenagers. And I think good friends are hard to find and come by in that specific industry because it's very cutthroat. You know, you got a lot of people step on the shoulders of other people to get up and so on and so forth. And it seems like they've always kind of pulled each other up and helped to counterbalance, you know, some of the inconsistencies that exist in Hollywood. So good for them. And they're just always good hosts because I think they come from that caliber of entertainers where you had to know how to do a little bit of everything to really do well. So they can sing, they can dance, they can act, they can make you laugh. You know, a lot of the jokes they had last night were really, really funny. The piece where they kind of referenced Gina with the bed frame, that had me rolling. Like, I forgot all about that episode. Even the piece where they're kind of being petty and they turned off Tisha's mic. Like, just simple things like that just make the award show good. They have a good energy. I love how they balance each other out. So good for them. I was glad Jazmine Sullivan has been getting her things lately because I've always felt that Jazmine Sullivan, the industry just seems to kind of ignore her because she has some really great projects. She's written so many hits for other people. So I'm glad that she got some awards tonight because we know some of the other award shows tend to look over her. So good for her. By the way, when it comes to Jazmine albums, my favorite album is still Love Me Back. I thought that was such a brilliant album from 2010. I was kind of sad that they didn't really push it and promote it the way they should have. So if you need to go back down the rabbit hole of Jazmine Sullivan albums, that I always say check out Love Me Back. Reality Show's a good one as well. The debut was really good. The current album's cool, but I really, really always liked Love Me Back. That was my album, especially the song Excuse Me. She tore that song up. So good for Jazmine. Ari Lennox, of course, performed. Looked really good, too. Look, she had the thighs out. Ari said, let me show y'all a little piece of thigh for the night. Y'all gonna get some thigh with this song. And so, you know, Ari was really good. I'm glad she's getting her things as well, too. She's starting to get more recognition because she's been at it for a while, like working really hard. I think that's what I do like about Soul Train Awards is you see a lot of artists, you've seen them on their journeys, and a lot of people who we remember from like SoundCloud eras or kind of just underground eras, or you might have seen them on YouTube and stuff, and so when you finally see them really start to come into their own, it's always kind of a good thing to see. So good for them. But yeah, Ari Lennox was great. Lucky Daye performed. He's another one where, you know, he's been at it for a while. I remember him auditioning for American Idol some years back, and so, you know, I think his journey is an experience and a lesson for people who may feel that I'm too old to do something or I'm too old to go for it. I want to say he's 34, maybe 33, and like, so, you know, hey, it's never too late. The doors, you know, one door closes, but there's always some kind of opportunity somewhere else. So good for him. By the way, I like the song he has with Earth, Wind, and Fire as well. The song he sang tonight, I forgot what it was called, but it has that other sample. So I was like, okay, Lucky Daye. So I appreciate him for kind of latching into more of like that traditional R&B you're not really hearing anymore on the radio. So good for him. Anyway, Fred Hammond performed. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't know the first song he was playing. I was like, what is this? But it was still cool. The one thing I will say with gospel acts, it doesn't matter which gospel act you get, they're always gonna sound good. I don't know if that comes from all the training they get from singing in church every Sunday and the choir rehearsals on Wednesday and having to go to the revival and then go to the convocation and then go to the choir explosion and the youth explosion and all that training and singing. It's just interesting how gospel artists seem, their voice is always intact even as they get into their 60s and 70s, in comparison to a lot of the current acts who the voices burn out by the time they hit 30, or they got to go and get corrective surgery and everything else like that because they got nodules. It's just interesting. And that's not to be judgmental or talk trash about anybody, but I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with how people come up from a young age onward. But he also did Let the Praise Begin, and I remember that song. That was a fun one. My favorite Fred Hammond song. I hope I didn't say Fred Hampton in the beginning. If I didn't, forgive me. My favorite Fred Hammond song has to be Awesome God. Like, that one cranks. Like, when they really get into the pocket, especially the last 2-3 minutes of the song, that's one of those songs that could have been 13 minutes and you would have still just been jamming. That's a good one. And then they had the Soul Cypher. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I think they've had better soul ciphers in the past, but I think this one was still good. They had Tone Smith, Corinne Hawthorne, Jack Ross, El Varner, and Music Soul Child. And so it was good because I haven't seen El Varner in a while. I went to one of her concerts some years ago, and it was actually a really, really good show. And I remember when I Don't Mind came out, I just knew that was going to be a huge hit, and it didn't catch on. I was like, dang, y'all suck. But at least everybody liked Refill. But El Varner was cool. It was good to see Music Soul Child. I haven't seen him in a while. In my opinion, I think the Jack Ross guy won, if you could say somebody won. I thought he did amazing. And then Corinne Hawthorne, I never knew what she looked like. I always heard her songs. I remember the Won't He Do It song and some other songs, but I never knew what she looked like. For some reason, I kept thinking, you know, she was a teenager. But I guess she has a very youthful voice, but it's still very soulful. And good for, what's her name? Normani. Normani got the award because, again, she's somebody I think, I don't know where she fits in with the industry, but I'm still rooting for her. I was kind of shocked that the Grammys did not nominate Wild Side for Best Video because I saw some of the other videos in the category. I was like, oh, really? Okay, well, y'all could put hers in there if that's what we're doing. But she looked really nice, too, by the way. Really pretty girl. Ashanti was honored. And, you know, Ashanti has a really funny personality to me. For some reason, every time I see her, I always think back to, do you guys remember when BET used to have, like, the top 25 on the weekends? Like, it would be, like, a Saturday, and then they would have a different artist, and they would play their top 25 videos, and it would be on for, like, 3 or 4 hours. But one time Ashanti was hosting, she was so funny. She was in this arcade. She was acting a fool in that arcade. She just has, like, this really funny personality. But I was glad she got her flowers. If I had a favorite Ashanti song, and by the way, she performed her own tribute, so she did all the classics and all the big hits. My favorite Ashanti song was always Rain on Me. Like, I always liked that one. And for some reason, in my head, I feel like Rain on Me could have been a Mary J. Blige song for the Share My World album. And I just said Mary J. Blige real weird. I said like how Whitney used to say it on VH1 Divas. Please help me welcome to the stage, Miss Mary J. Blige. But no, I feel like Rain on Me could have been on Share My World. It just, I could always see Mary singing that for some reason. But no, I still love Ashanti's version. And like I said, it's good that she's getting her things because she definitely had a hold on the music industry for a handful of years, especially in those teenage years. It was like just a Murder Inc. thing all day, all night. So good for her. I even like some of her later albums. I like Braveheart. It was an album I think people kind of slept on, but it had some gems on it as well. What else did we write down? And then Ja Rule and Fat Joe also came out, so you know they did like the Always on Time and What's Love, so it's kind of like reliving those teenage years again. Leon Bridges performed. He's another one I've kind of been following for a while. I had his Coming Home project, which kind of reminded me of like a Sam Cooke. And so he performed tonight. And again, he's another one who's been working at it for some years, so it's good to kind of see a lot of people coming to their own. The industry shifted so much and things are so different as far as how people get on or you know, how people get their acclaim or their success. So it's good to see people like sticking it out and riding it through until they get to where they want to be. So good for him. I really like that Summer Walker song, Unloyal. Like that song it just has like a smooth, I don't know, man. It kind of gives me like an Erykah Badu essence. I'm not saying she's Erykah Badu or nothing like that, but that song, I think it's the bass line and the saxophone. Like as soon as that saxophone comes on, it just reminds me of like Kirk Whalum back in the day, like when he used to do the Whitney shows. But that song sounded amazing, and she had Ari Lennox perform with her as well. I didn't realize she had so many tats. I was like, dang, Summer, look, I'm gonna get me like something on this whole side one day. I'm just kidding, but that song sounds amazing live. That sounded really good, especially with the band. And even, I don't know if that was something that was planned by the cameras as well, but something about her being in like the white dress with that blue lighting, and then even the angle that it was shot, I was like, oh, it was fitting for the song. I was like, I don't know who was in charge of that, but give them a raise. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but that was really dope. Maxwell was also honored, and if you follow me, Maxwell's one of my favorite singers as well. And I mean, he's been out for a really long time. He has a lot of classics. And again, he performed a lot of the gems like Bad Habits and some of the other ones like that. My favorite Maxwell song has to be Submerged Till We Become the Sun. I love that song. Like I can just let that play all day. And I'm so dramatic when I have my little I guess my little subtle playlist. That's when I have my little blue lights and stuff on and candles, and that done boil some cinnamon on the stove because I ain't got no incense because I ain't trying to burn the house down. And just be laying there and all the music is just kind of marinating through the room. Like I love that song. And I've seen him live a few times. He always gives a really, really good show. I remember I saw him at the Kennedy Center and he was performing with the National Symphony Orchestra, and that was a really fun show. My favorite tour was the one he had in 2009. It wasn't the one that he had with Erykah and Jill, but it was the one right before that one where it was him solo. That was a dope show. And he's dope because he includes, his whole band is just as vital as he is. So, the background and supporting singers are going to be on the stage in the front with him and walking and doing the choreography, and the brass section is going to walk and they're going to have their piece, and everything's just coordinated really well. So he's given years and years of really great entertainment. So I'm glad that he's been celebrated as well. And then listen, I almost forgot about Pass the Mic. I was just about to go to bed because, like I said, I had been on that flight for 5 hours because, I went to visit my grandfather. And so, I was about to nod off because, but I just happened to remember it was on. But they had an interesting mix this year. So they had Stephanie Mills, who, again, I just finished gassing up from Versus because she did amazing at Versus. And she looks really good, by the way. But she was on there, performed Never Knew Love Like This Before. Charlie Wilson. It was good to see him. I'm still a little sad about the member of the Gap Band passing, so I'm glad he's in good spirits. Daryl Hall, who I never knew what he looked like. Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates, I Can't Go For That. Now, my favorite song from them was Sarah's Smile, and I also like the After 7 remake of the song as well. But Daryl Hall was on there. Debbie Harry, who I would have never thought would have been on this. But I remember, she has a song with Fab Five Freddy. When I was still in undergrad, we had this elective course. It was a hip-hop class, so I took that. And I remember we had to watch that video for Rapture. And I just always remember Fab Five Freddy with the suit on, walking down between the alleys and everything. So that's kind of dope that she showed up to do that song. And then they had Grandmaster Flash. I was like, okay, y'all bringing out, all the classic folks now. I love that they still continue to celebrate all the generations. I do think as time progresses, we're getting into this space where everything is about the now. And sometimes the greats of the past are starting to kind of get left out of the conversation. So I'm glad something like a Pass the Mic or the Soul Train Awards, the Trumpet Awards, or some of these other award shows continue to really push and keep these narratives out there. Even other YouTubers who tend to highlight, the greats of the past. I really appreciate that. It's called Real Black, like REEL Black channel. They love to upload throwback clips all the time. So that's a really dope channel to follow. Even the Black Femininity channel, they're really good with highlighting, different stories and things of the past with a lot of black women in entertainment. So there's a whole bunch of really great people out there that are really trying to keep our legacy out there so things don't get erased. Curtis Blow. I was like, they got everybody tonight. So he came out and did the breaks. Every time I hear Curtis blow the breaks, I always think of Soul Food. Remember the scene where Vivica A. Fox's character took Vanessa Williams' boyfriend at the skating rink? And that's the song that's playing in the background at the same time. I always think of that. Dang. Poor Terry. Terry could just never win in that movie. It's all right. Sherelle and Alexander O'Neal did Saturday Love. My favorite Sherelle song is I Didn't Mean to Turn You On. And Alexander O'Neal, actually, one of my karaoke songs is All True Man. Speaking of Maxwell, Extension Don't Ever Wonder is one of my karaoke songs too. I can't wait till I go to home, like Washington State. I haven't been there in 3 years. But I got a karaoke roll, dog, and so we just be knowing. We got our list of songs, and so them 2 songs and Bobby Brown, My Prerogative, be on there. I'll be in there ready. So if I ever do make it back home at some point, just have your playlist ready if you're watching. What else? Oh, Jeffrey Osborne, Back in Love Again. I haven't seen him in years either, so it's good to see him. I like the Trinity 5-7 song that sampled that as well. I can't think of what the song is called. I think it's Put Your Hands in the Hand of the Man, something like that, but that was a good song too. Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band was there. The Emotions was there, and again, it was sad because one of their members just passed away as well, but Wanda looks good, and she looks exactly the same, by the way. I was just watching, there's a clip of the Emotions where they're performing Best of My Love, I want to say on Midnight Special, and they got the white suits on, and I was like, dang, Wanda looks exactly the same. I mean, there's a little bit of aging that comes gracefully with time, but she looks exactly like Wanda, which is kind of dope. Don't ask me why I'm so obsessed with all of these seasoned vets, but I just grew up in a household where we played a lot of throwbacks all the time, and in my parents' household, you would have thought it was still like 1979, the way my parents had stuff playing, and so I'm just, it rubs off on you. Anita Ward did Ring My Bell. She was on The View a few days back too. I saw her on that as well. And then you also had Thelma Houston doing Don't Leave Me This Way, and Gloria Gaynor as well. So it was kind of a good mix. It was kind of like a mix of the disco classics and the early hip-hop veterans and pioneers. So that was dope. But overall, I thought the Soul Train Awards was still really good. It was just good to kind of reminisce, hear some good music. Hopefully next year they can have a bigger roster. But you know, again, like I said, I appreciate their musicality. You're going to get good vocals. You're going to get, you know, the good lighting. I even appreciated the acts that were like the feature acts that they show and highlight before they go to commercial. I forgot their names. I remember one guy's name was, I want to say L.A. I can't remember the woman that performed before him, but I just appreciate that they do a little bit of everything. So I enjoyed it. It was a quiet year in comparison to previous years, but the talent was still there, and I think it was great. And I think the energy from the host really kept the show going. So share your 2 cents. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I'm out. Subscribe.
We've reached that point again, and there's no questioning. There's no other feeling.